Okay, welcome back. This is Casey Lartigue, co-founder, co-president of Freedom Speakers International, joining Eunhee, and I'm just like the moderator here. I'll ask a question. When I listen to speeches and when I listen to your speech, every sentence feels like it's a story. Because you just quickly gloss over that you were planning to escape, but you took 4 years detailed planning to escape. And could you talk about the planning that you made so that your grandparents and others would not get blamed?
It was at the age of 17. It was my first time to discover that the country that I live is not a normal land. And through the watching South Korean dramas and the media American movies, and I figured out I had to leave this country to be as a free person. And as I mentioned in my speech, I talked to my grandmother. I want to be a free person to go to China, even though I was, being sold to Chinese guy as a kind of sexual slave. I'm okay. It's much, much better than to live in North Korea. And I knew if I leave that country, my grandparents who gave me unlimited love and kind of like, I don't know how can I explain that situation, how much I was loved by them. I don't want to be them punished because of me. So I had to move many places for 4 years. So eventually that my grandparents cannot be punished by the government and authorities. So I lived in my uncle's home and my mom's sister's home, my friends, very close friends' home, kind of like, so I moved a lot of places that the authorities cannot conform where I was.
And that's so that they would not get blamed for...
Yeah. So eventually my grandparents could say that, I didn't have any responsibility. She's an adult and she's over 18 or 20, so I don't have any responsibility. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jonathan French said, you mentioned you went to America. Was this to give speeches or was there some other reason, and how long were you there?
I was in Los Angeles, and it's a very small town named Laverne. I think I saw the population by Google. It shows that 30,000 population live in that city. I was a student at the time to learn about English, to attend it in the English course. By the supported by Mulmangcho, which is NGO. Casey, at our first time the speech mentioned that the politician who fought for the human rights issues and don't repatriate North Koreans in China, she established that NGO, and I was just so lucky to get a chance to be as a scholarship student to go to United States to learn English. So I was there for 2 months as a student and to attend in the English course.
Yes, okay. And then CMF, a moving, inspiring, and thought-provoking speech. She's been doing that for years now. So what freedoms do you see people in South Korea and other free, quote-unquote, rabbit ears, whatever, countries giving away these days? So what freedoms? So you say that people have to protect their freedom. So what are the freedoms that they are basically allowing the government to take from them?
I have to read a statement. Freedom, do you see people in South? What freedoms do you see people in South Korea and other free countries giving away these days? I think normally what I notice that people in free countries, when they hear the politicians make a kind of like a statement to get a vote, they believe all of statements what they said, and they don't have their own thoughts. How can I protect my personal life? And then when politicians say to build this country better, we have to recognize the background and then or the stories behind why they say, but usually people just believe that because of their current situation, and they see people just see short-term goal. They don't see for long-term goal. What if I vote for this him? How can I make a better democracy with this plan? So I think we have to focus on the long-term goal, not short-term, what you are struggling now.
I want to recommend that you read a book called Applied Economics by Thomas Sowell. We talked about him before. He talks about different stages of politicians. Look at stage one, the grand opening, the ceremony, the announcement, but they don't think down the line, and the citizens need to do that. Anyway, we'll talk about that.
Okay,
Okay, so then Kim Ji-hee says, how expensive can smuggling prices get? Smuggling people out of North Korea. So how much does it cost now to get someone out of North Korea?
At that period, I had to pay back to my broker who helped me to get out the North Korea $7,000.
And that was in 2012.
12. And I was alone. There was no, and still there is no any family members in South Korea. That's why I had to pay back $7,000 after escaping and in South Korea. And how could I pay back? The South Korea has quite nice system to help North Korean refugees to settle down. I can say that if you use that provided systems what South Korean government built, you can live very a nice way. As a free person like me, I have achieved many things based on what they provided. So they provide $7,000 to settle down in this country. So I just paid back all of monies what I got from the government, and then I started my life with zero. I find a Paris baguette job and kind of things, yeah.
Okay. Well, so about $7,000 in 2012. Before COVID, do you remember about how much it cost to get someone out of North Korea?
I think more than $20,000.
Yeah, before COVID. Yeah, and now it's very difficult, but how much would it cost now to get someone? Have you heard anyone talk about that?
It's I don't know, even that topic exists nowadays because all of humans in every, including free countries, cannot live freely. So how can we think about the North Koreans can leave their country, which is isolated country?
Right. So we know the numbers. So 2019, I think is about 1,000 people escaped to South Korea. Last year was only slightly above 200, but most of them escaped January and February before COVID.
Okay.
Yeah. So so it's very difficult now to even get out. Okay. Brian Kim wants to talk about Eunkoo. So hello. Thank you for the amazing speech. Could you explain in more detail about how you felt exploited when you're participating in a TV show, such as did the producers force you to say something you didn't agree with?
Actually, it's there are every organizations. In every corporations and NGOs and kind of like business fields, we can feel the complexity, not a simple structure. So when I was in the TV show, first time I was happy to get money and to be stable financially for supporting my 4 years of university life. And as time went, I realized that because of the North Korean guests, I can say, including me, don't have any question of it. Why we always have to fulfill these questions what producers already fixed and already made to please audiences, because it's in the business field. You have to focus on the contents of what most audiences want to hear. And we cannot make our voices freely there. And depending on the progress and Democratic Party, the contents has changed a lot. And as a North Korean panelist, there is any system to have contracts with them. So they have full of power to cut our opportunity if we deny of to say we don't want to spread this information to the world. So yeah, that's why I figured out, should I just obey in this field to get money, or just should I be free person to live, the person what I want it be in North Korea? Because I believe that there are many opportunities, tons of opportunities that I can make my life without that TV show.
So you started your own channel.
Yeah, my own channel. I cannot make lots of money, but I am so happy that I can be a free person, and I can be recognized by people how much I'm trying to figuring out the meaning of freedom, the value of freedom.
Well, there are two questions related to brokers, so let's take those at the same time. So Eben asked, do brokers become aggressive with refugees who can't pay them back? And then Dan asked, you don't need to pay the broker up front? So you paid the broker after you arrive here. So his question is, I guess he thinks that the refugees will pay the brokers in advance.
So when I was in China, like in Beijing, while we are escaping on the way to come to South Korea, we had to write the contract that I was gonna pay within 6 months. So if we don't pay the broker's fee, the commissions, like my $7,000, I don't know what is gonna happen to me. But based on my family education and family background, my grandparents always taught me that if you earn some money, or if you borrow the money from others, even though you have lots of things to do, you have to pay back at first. That was my family education. So yeah, I never thought I'm not gonna pay $7,000. I was just so thankful that I was escaped from North Korea. So I just paid the back. But what if North Koreans cannot pay? I don't know.
I've heard lots of things. I've heard people suing each other. I've heard fights and all kinds of things. Sometimes refugees don't want to pay back. Sometimes the brokers demand the money faster. So all kinds of things. And apparently one reason that the South Korean government started to spread out the payments, not all at one time, is because the brokers would demand to receive the payment that the refugees would receive from the government. They would say, you should give me that money. So they were trying to try to get even more money out of refugees, because they know they were getting money as soon as they got to South Korea. So apparently one reason South Korean government started to spread it out over years instead of just large, big payments like they used to do. But with brokers, there's too many stories. They range from just being angels to rapists to murderers to gangsters. So there's a wide range of brokers, and some people get good ones and some people get bad ones. So for now, I think that's Pauline, Lin Ali. As a woman, did you struggle in South Korea? And what are some things that were difficult for you?
I can say because of the gender, as a woman, I don't have any specific struggle to adjust in South Korea. I just, because of the person who is from the country which is isolated in this world, difficult to adjustment in South Korea. As all of speakers today mentioned, that the Konglish words are the most difficult part to settle down, because when you live in the country, you have to communicate, even for getting a job and having a friendship and relationship. You have to know how to communicate with the people. But in South Korea, Korean accepted English, and then there are lots of a language that I never heard of in my life for 21 years. And I was fired after 1 month of experiencing to work at a Paris baguette. And I realized that how much English is so important to settle down in this country. And second was because of the identity as a North Korean who was born as a political slave for Kim dictators. and people see us. And when they meet individual from North Korea, they generalize and then they making the group that we have same characters. So like we are from poor country, we are not educated, so they don't even give us the opportunity that we can show the ability. I am a capable person in this democracy. They just ignored and denied us to work at their corporations. That was my first struggling to get a job and to feed myself. But after figuring out the people out there, lots of people support North Korean refugees and making this world better. I realized how much I am so grateful that I was born in North Korea.
Okay, wow, okay. I want to say something. Okay, let me just get to the questions. Let's see. Okay, Jonathan French. How many refugees use brokers versus how many escape on their own? And that's the first question. And then second, how could you trust a broker without having access to resources in North Korea? And there's another broker question after this, but let's take on those two first.
How many refugees use brokers? Almost them. All of North Korean refugees have to, ask the brokers to help to get out the country, the North Korea. And I never heard of someone who.
Well, the only ones I've heard, they're people who like escaped in their own little boat. And like people who escape directly across the DMZ, very rare, as we know. So those are like the only exceptions. So, but 99%, the 99.9%, okay, are use brokers. So in your case, how long was your escape across China, and how many brokers did you meet from North Korea to China?
To cross the border between the North Korea and China, it just took, I can say, 5 minutes. They crossed the Amno River, the Yalu River, to go to China. But before, the crossing river was the most dangerous moment. For 10 minutes, whether there is the option whether you are gonna die or you are gonna be shooted, or you are gonna be alive as a survivor to go to China, to go through to go to South Korea. But I was lucky to cross the river for 10 minutes, but it was 4 a.m. I guess it's 3 a.m. with 4 other North Korean defectors, including 1-year baby. It's dangerous. Like a baby started crying after crossing river. And I prepared, as I mentioned, that 4 years of preparation. It was a long journey to cross the Yalu River to go to China. But 1-year baby started crying. Like, what do you feel? I just only thought I had to stop this baby crying. And then I played the barking sounds and like pig sounds, and then eventually she just stopped crying. And after 2 hours, the Chinese brokers came to us and then to carry us to go through the China. For I guess there are lots of the Chinese brokers I cannot count.
Yeah, but like how many? Like 5, 10?
No, I can say it's more than 15 brokers.
Wow. That you met during.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's an important thing to realize, that, again, it's not just one broker. That it's basically, anyone who knows about the American history, that there were a number of people along the Underground Railroad. It wasn't just one person leading you to freedom. There were a number of brokers, and they're all connected. So again, it's not just one person who's doing it. Okay. And then how could you trust a broker without having access to resources in North Korea?
If I apply my example to this question, I can say the broker that I met was my father's friend. So I trusted him. But it's, so many stories behind the defection. But that's why he is my dad's friend, and I believed he's going to help me. And then he proved he proved that his son lives in South Korea. So if he sends me to go to South Korea, his son and me can be as a good friends, kind of like a family status.
Yes. Okay. And then another question about brokers. How can refugees, kind of similar, distinguish between a broker that would lead them to freedom and one that will sell them into slavery, forced marriage? I don't think you can. I mean, before you start, you just, and again, there are 15, she encountered 15 different brokers along the way. So again, it's not just one. But I'll just add one thing that I've heard, and that is that some brokers can start to develop the reputation of being good. So there's kind of some word of mouth. But with 15 people, you cannot account for every single broker and every one of them being honorable along the way. So,
but I never like thought I'm gonna be sold by the brokers that I met like while I was going through the China. I just believed them because there is only the option you have to believe them. They're gonna help me to get out the country to come to South Korea.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Okay, I can't believe we've gotten this far without anybody asking about reunification. Okay, but here we are. So what are your thoughts on reunification? This is Tamika. I know some South Koreans have hopes for reunification with the North, but how do you think people in the North feel about reunification?
Since I was young, at the age of 5, I was kind of like brainwashed by my grandfather, who was born in South Korea. Reunification is very essential for our family members because he was born in South Korea, and then I hoped in every account I wanna be there to see and to visit my grandfather's hometown. So every North Korean individuals I can say hope that one day our country, like North and South Korea, can be unified. But in my view, as a person who live in South Korea, I can say I don't want North and South Korea unified as one country because it's very, very complexity structures, including the cultural differences and political differences. So many South Korean people have exposed themselves to learn very, very totally different things compared North Koreans. While North Korea just live in one country without any information, without any educational systems, South Koreans live in a globally. So yeah, I don't want North and South Korea just become one country. I just want Kim Jong-un just opened economy to the world so that North Korean people have freedom to move and back and forth to their home and other countries to make their lives freely. And so moreover, South and North Korea have more like compromise integration with the people and cultural structures. That it's my opinion. I don't want politically just become one country. Economically, we have to open that, but we have to divide it the political system.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to have reunification with a criminal, and with murderers. But I guess it's, okay. All right, okay, exceptional conservative. Welcome back. He tried again. So to those that seek to be free, how important is it that a person continue to do good and to continue to feel good about themselves? So, all right, so you're trying to be free, but maybe kind of related to what you're saying, that you might have some dilemmas you have to face along the way. So how important is it to continue to do good? As you had to make the decision on your case, you were not going to just basically say what they wanted you to say, but you had to do it your own way. You had to do it the way that you thought was proper. So I think it's back to the question of ethics and what's the proper way to live.
What is proper way to live? I cannot say all of people have to, figure out their freedom and to become a free person, because everyone has different definition of the freedom. And for me, it was very important to be who I am. It was my dream to be a free person since I decided to escape from North Korea. And I realized that when I was on the show and when I realized that I had to please the producers and writers, I knew it's not a way that I can live as a free person. And in freedom, in free countries and the democracy also, there are many. Or think about when you work at a corporations. Some people say that I just work for money. Same. It's when you feel oppressed from the work, the intense work schedules and the intense organizational culture, you feel like you are not a free person. So you will figure out to leave that environment. For me, it was the same situation. Because of money, I don't want to be controlled by someone's hope and someone's objective. I knew in the democracy country, there are plenty of things, lots of choices, we can make money.
Okay. Now, Pauline, Eunhee, your English is amazing, and you are an extraordinary person. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm learning so much thanks to you. And then Philip, Todd, Eunhee, thank you for a wonderful talk. I wonder if you've been able to travel and see other countries since escaping. So you mentioned America early on, and I know you had another special experience.
Yeah. I'm a travel person. It's one of my habits was just is traveling to all of the world. So I traveled 10 countries, I can say. But when I say 10 countries, I have to be cautious to say 10 countries because even the one country, there are lots of layers of cultures and historical stories. So 10 places out of South Korea, including United States, and I lived in Australia for 6 months on a working while I was on a working holiday, and I was in Philippines for 2 months to learn English before heading to Australia to live, and then Hong Kong before that crisis happened. And so many, and Germany, and Africa, in Kenya. Yeah, so many countries I have visited to see my friends. And one of the best memory of traveling was in Zurich, in Switzerland. 5 years ago, I met one guy is from Switzerland, and then we became friends. And he said he is a very curious guy, and talking about many things and asking questions, so many questions about North Korea. Sometimes it's annoying me to answer so many. There is no any ending of questioning, and we became good friends. And one day he said to me, "I'm not happy." Even though he got supported to study in South Korea and for 4 years of university life by his father, but I was alone to survive in this country. But the way of life is more happier than him. And I asked him, "Hey, I'm alone without any family members, and I was so struggling to live in this new country, but I am happier than you. Why you said that way? If you go to your country, think about the little girl, just 5 feet, living with the happiness all the time, and but she's always happy. So if you think about me, you will be happy." And then I taught him to remember that 아프지 마, that is don't get sick, because he was mental, he's struggling in the mental issues. And I taught him the Korean words 아프지 마, that is don't get sick. And then we became family. And after 1 year, I met him. His father invited me to Zurich. So we spent Christmas together for 2 weeks. And then I went to Hong Kong. Like, I feel like there is no any border between countries.
So the answer is that yes, she has traveled. All right. Now, I remember, so you first joined our organization April 2015. And I remember a short time after that, you were saying you wanted to travel. And
Did I say?
Yes, you did. Yes, you
Long
did.
time ago, I don't remember.
Yes, I remember. And then you did it. And everything you say you're going to do, you do it. So eventually you get to it. So, okay. Then I'm going to ask you, what do you think about FSI?
Oh, very updated version of to say that the TNKR, FSI, Freedom Speakers International. I think I always think about a TNKR. FSI is a little uncomfortable, not used to call FSI for me.
Not just you, it's us too. We're still sometimes like Eunkoo, especially TNKR, and FSI.
So what about the Freedom She? It's easy to say, so Freedom She. Yeah, for me, it's a very important organization that I have to be grateful to meet lots of beautiful people in the world to support North Korean refugees who are struggling to live in that new society and the new world. And in 2015, if I didn't meet FSI, I couldn't be here today, because I knew because of the opportunity that I met lots of people from other countries who have different stories, different background, different cultural and historical moments that made me think about deeply and think about the North Korea effective way to what I can do for our people. So I appealed my identity as a North Korean defector. As Casey always mentioned that she was hide her face all the time while I was trying to take a picture. He loves taking picture anyway. But I always do that pose like something hide on my face.
We will cover up. Yes, exactly. Well, actually, she first joined us April 2015, and at every session we would take a photo, a group photo. She did not even want to be in the group photo.
Yeah, but I didn't want to be there.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want people recognize my identity as a North Korean defector because I was already settled down to work at a company to make money, and I knew I'm gonna achieve my dream. It's just like a pretend like South Korean. I have a perfect South Korean accent. No one recognized me at the time. So yeah, that's thank you so much for establishing this NGO and making practical way to make this world better. I can say this organization, this FSI, is the most practical organization to make this world better by
Love
action.
Love it.
Not
Thank
words.
You. Everyone applaud. All right, fantastic. Oh, it's been great. Thank you so much, Eunhee. Do you want to say any final thing to everyone out there? Oh.
Lastly, I want to say thank you so much for remaining here until late time, and thank you so much for cooperating with me.
Cooperating, yes.
Casey.
All right, great.
And please check FSI. And I want to deliver this one thing. So I don't know you can donate or not, but there is a way. If you find the way you can buy the stocks to donate the FSI, it's gonna be great capital to sustain this organization. So now I'm working at asset management. So I knew money is just trash. As the Ray Dalio said that money is trash. So if you buy the stocks that you can donate for FSI, it could be a great opportunity to develop this organization for sustainably, continuously. Thank you.